on February 27, 2025, is a death sentence in plain sight. These men fled Beijing's genocide seeking safety, only to endure 11 years of inhumane detention in Bangkok before being handed back to their persecutors at the request of the Chinese Communist Party. This deportation is not just an act of cruelty, it is a stain on Thailand's conscience and the betrayal of the global human rights system. Thai government violated the Convention Against Torture, the principle of non-refoulement, its own Anti-Torture Act, and its obligations as a UN member state, all to appease an authoritarian regime committing genocide. By yielding to Beijing's pressure, the Thai government not only enabled the CCP's transnational repression, but also compromised its own security. This is not the first inhumane demand from China, nor it will be the last. The deportation of Uyghurs emboldens the regime to exert even greater pressure, posing a direct threat for Thailand's sovereignty and the national security. This shameful act represents not only Thailand's disgrace, but a global moral collapse. United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, also abandoned the Uyghur people by inaction, fearing backlash from China, a betrayal of its mandate that placed Uyghur lives at risk. The 109 Uyghurs deported back in 2015, blindfolded and shackled, were forcibly disappeared by the CCP. Now, 40 more Uyghurs have been sent into the shadows, into the very machinery of mass detention, torture, and the death that defines the CCP's genocidal campaign against the Uyghurs. The staged propaganda videos showing 3 Uyghur men in family reunions cannot erase the truth. The real question here is, where are the rest of the other 37 Uyghur men sent back last week? Thai government, the UNHCR, and all those who stood by have betrayed the most vulnerable and sided with tyranny. Every time the world allows China to violate international laws with impunity, we chip away at our own freedom and security. This deportation is not just about Uyghurs, it is a warning to all who seek refuge from oppression. If Uyghurs are not safe, no one is safe. I want to express my deep gratitude to those who stood by us and fought for those Uyghur men until the last moment, including the Thai MPs Kanabi Siok-sam and the Ramadan Panjor, Ms. Chalida Hajaransik, the People's Empowerment Foundation, and many others and other organizations in Thailand. Our fight does not end until there is accountability for violating domestic and international laws. The Thai authorities must ensure there are no further deportations and the remaining Uyghurs are freed and safely resettled in the third country. This is a matter of justice and human dignity. The world is watching. History will judge us by what we choose to do next. Thank you.
เมื่อสักครู่นะคะคือคุณรุสลานอัฟฟานนะคะเป็นประธาน World Uyghurs Congress นะคะเธอได้เดินทางมาที่ประเทศไทยในหลายๆครั้งหลายๆโอกาสนะคะแล้วก็ได้พบเจอกับสื่อมวลชนรวมถึงนักการเมืองแล้วก็อาจจะได้พบกับผู้มีอำนาจในการตัดสินใจหลายครั้งซึ่ง เธอก็ได้มีการต่อสู้มาอย่างยาวนานและตลอดนะคะถัดมาค่ะจะเป็นคลิปของมิสเตอร์ปาติยาโบราณนะคะเราเรียกว่าอังเคิลโบราณนะคะอังเคิลโบราณเนี่ยจะเป็นคนที่ดำเนินการด้านกระบวนการยุติธรรมทั้งหมดนะคะไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องของการพิสูจน์ความบริสุทธิ์ของศาลนะคะหรือว่ากับศาลนะคะหรือว่ากับการที่ตรวจสอบว่าการกักขังเนี่ยมันเป็นการขังอย่างถูกกฎหมายหรือเปล่านะคะ
My statement on the recent repatriation of 40 Uyghurs from Thailand to China. I am deeply shocked and devastated by the forced repatriation of 40 Uyghurs from Thailand to China. This act has reignited our worst fears, as history has shown that Uyghurs sent back to China often face enforced disappearance, torture, and imprisonment. The lack of transparency surrounding their fate depends or anguish. The Thai government claims that these individuals voluntarily consented to return to China. However, given the well-documented persecution of Uyghurs, it is difficult to believe that they would willingly return to a country where they are at high risk of severe human rights violations. True voluntary consent can only exist in an environment free from fear, coercion, and intimidation, conditions that Uyghurs in detention don't have. The Thai and the Chinese governments insist that the repatriated Uyghurs will be reunited with their families. But how can we trust these assurances when thousands of Uyghur families have been turned apart by mass internment camps, forced labor, and systematic repression? If the Chinese government is sincere, then let them provide open and verifiable proof that these individuals are safe and truly with their loved ones. Until then, these claims remain empty promises. For the families of those who have been sent back, can you contact them? Can you hear their voices? Can they confirm their safety? If not, when we fear the worst, Uyghurs who have been forcibly returned in the past have disappeared without a trace, and we fear this cycle is repeating itself. To the Thai government and the Thai people, I urge you to reflect on the consequences of sending Uyghurs back to China. Thailand has a moral and a legal responsibility under international law to protect those at risk of persecution. The Uyghur people have suffered immensely, and instead of being treated as criminals, they deserve compassion and refuge. I call on Thailand to end the deportation of Uyghurs and allow international organizations to access and assess those still in detention. To Thai society, I appeal to your sense of humanity and justice. Uyghurs seeking refuge are not threats. They are victims of oppression, simply trying to survive. I ask the Thai people to stand with us, to demand justice, and to call on your government to uphold human rights. Our suffering is immense, but silence and inaction only deepen the justice. We will not stop seeking answers. We will not stop demanding justice. And we will not forget those who have been sent back into the hands of their oppressors. Thank you very much.
สุดท้ายนะคะเป็นคลิปจากคุณเนโรล่านะคะนักวิจัยและผู้สื่อข่าวอิสระนะคะที่ได้ติดตามเรื่องนี้มาอย่างยาวนานนะคะรวมถึงได้พูดคุยกับตัวครอบครัวแล้วก็ติดต่อกับครอบครัวของผู้ต้องกักมาตลอด 11 ปีค่ะ
My name is Nora Elena. I am the Italian researchers at Germany. I've been reporting this case. I'm spending years of interviewing and contacting the family of the deportees. Following the deportation, I have been in contact with and interviewed the families and friends of these 48 individuals. Since the deportation of 40 Uyghurs on the morning of February 27, 2025, their family in Europe and Turkey have received no information about their whereabouts and well-being. Additionally, their relatives abroad have not been notified that their loved one has safely returned home. Since 2017, their families in China have been prohibited from contacting the relative abroad, and many have been imprisoned. As a result, their families abroad currently have no means of confirming their safety. The family of deportees are deeply distressed by the attack on the MP Kanava in both Thai media and on social media. They confirm that the SOS and appeal letters were indeed written by the relatives in the IDC. Family have also audio recordings that could confirm that guards at the IDC provided paper to the detainees to help them contact the Thai government and United Nations Refugee Agency. Their family are also extremely upset by the inaccurate reporting on this case by the Thai media. The report contains numerous errors, such as claiming that 8 Uyghurs are in prison when in fact 5 are. The families of the detainees are willing to provide their letters and audio recordings to the international agency and the Royal Thai government upon request, but they have not been contacted so far. The family hope that the Thai media can support the victims' relatives by urging the Thai and the Chinese government to allow communication between them and their deported family members, and to ensure the safety of their relatives in China, rather than contributing the further injustice and harm. Among those deported in 2015, their relatives I have managed to reach have also had no communication with their loved ones. Regarding the 2015 109 deportees, the only evidence that found about them is in the Chinese state media. The news admitted that 109 deportees are being detained in a facility in Urumqi. Chinese state media visits them on July 25, 2015, which is 16 days after their deportation. The video shows that a few men, around 7 or 8 men and 2 women. The whereabouts of remaining men and women remain unknown. The male deportees in the video are detained, shaved, and dressed in detainee uniforms. All of them are coerced into confessing, with most denouncing Uyghur abroad. 2 women appear in the video, both with short hair, which is uncommon for religious Uyghur women, suggesting it was cut due to their detention, a common practice in Chinese detention facilities. One woman claimed on camera that her life in detention is great. while the other is released because police consider her crime minor, suggesting that the other 108 deportees are not being released. An head-injured man asked about his head injury, admits he resisted at airport out of fear of the punishment if he returned to China, and is forced to say he should not have resisted on the camp. China also aired surveillance footage of the detainees inside Hainan Sadao IDC. Several men are coerced into confessing to be or intending to be jihadists, with the government providing no legal or concrete evidence. Instead, they showed footage of non-Uyghur jihadists being trained in Afghanistan or other places unrelated to Thailand, Turkey, or Xinjiang, which have no connection to these deportees. Both 2015 and 2025 deportees' families are asking for their relatives' whereabouts and well-being. Thank you.
ทางเราจริงๆทางเราได้พยายามรวบรวมเสียงของครอบครัวโดยตรงของเขามานะคะแต่ไม่มีใครสภาพจิตใจพร้อมเลยที่จะพูดรวมถึงกังวลเรื่องความปลอดภัยของตัวเองในประเทศปลายทางด้วยแล้วก็ขอให้ถือว่าเป็นการส่งเสียงแบบหนึ่งละกันค่ะเสียงที่ไม่ได้ส่งมานะคะท่านต่อไปค่ะจะเป็นการเสวนาวงแรกนะคะในหัวข้อเรื่องเล่าหลังลูกกรง11 ปีกับการทำงานเพื่อสิทธิชาวอุยกูร์ที่นี่ที่เดียวกับเรื่องราวที่ไม่ถูกบอกเล่าแต่จะขอเชิญผู้ดำเนินรายการจำเป็นของเรานะคะคุณโดนทาเจริญศักดิ์ค่ะเรียนเชิญค่ะ
เดี๋ยวขอที่สภาโอเคเดี๋ยวขอชี้แจงกันนะครับตอนนี้โมเดเลเตอร์กำลังมานะครับแต่เดี๋ยวผมจะดำเนินรายการไปก่อนนะครับเพื่อให้ไม่เสียเวลาเพราะว่าจริงๆเราอยากให้ทุกคนได้ใช้เวลาในการพูดคุยตรงนี้มากที่สุดเนาะเราจะอยากจะให้เริ่มแล้วก็จะได้ดำเนินรายการและหลังจากนี้นะครับก็อยากจะให้ทุกคนมีโอกาสได้สอบถามกันเดี๋ยวขอชี้แจงสั้นๆนิดนึงนะครับก็คือตอนนี้มีของว่างมาเสิร์ฟกันนะครับสำหรับใครที่นั่งฟังอยู่นะครับอยากจะพักก็ให้ออกไปรับของว่างกินข้างนอกคงไม่ได้กินข้างในได้ครับต้องไปทานข้างนอกแล้วค่อยเข้ามาใหม่นะครับเดี๋ยวผมจะขอเข้าดำเนินรายการเลยนะครับงานเสวนา